Perfect. And we are live. Welcome everyone to this 9x live workshop where we will be building a case management AI agent together in the next 90 minutes. I'm incredibly excited about this one, and hopefully you are all too. Before we get into a little quick introduction, I do just want to make sure that if you do plan to build along live, which I hope most of you will be doing, please make sure you already have your Noxus AI account set up. If you don't know what Noxus is, don't worry. There will be a nice introduction from our special guest. But just, feel free to use the link that I've got on the screen here, or scan the QR code if you're that way inclined, and make sure you have your account set up. What I'll also quickly do is drop it here in the chat as well. And it should be a very simple sign up process, but that way you can sign up, create your account while I'm doing the quick introduction. And let me make sure I'm adding in more people from the weight room. So what do we have in store for today? Very, very simple agenda, because majority of the time will be spent building here. So we'll do a quick introduction now. Then we're going to hand over to our special guest for a live build. And of course, there will be some time at the end for the discussion and Q&A. But also, as always in these sessions, please feel free to use the chat as much as possible. And I think it's always great to make this really interactive and ask the questions live as they happen. So a quick introduction from our side for those of you who do not know us yet. So we're 9x. My name is Jan. I'm one of the co-founders of 9x alongside Alex and Piv. And basically we're building your one-stop shop to learn AI and automation. And why are we doing this is we really believe that AI and automation are the most important skills to learn right now as a business professional. And it's our mission to bring you these skills on a silver platter. And we do this in a few different ways. First of all, through our YouTube channel, where every week we publish free AI and automation tutorials, demos, as well as the latest news. So if you want to check us out there, it would mean a great deal if you, as always, do the YouTube thing and subscribe. I'll drop a quick link here in the chat. Actually, I think we're like 60 people away from crossing 30K subscribers. I think we've definitely got more than that in this call. So it would be amazing if you can tip us over the 30K mark after the live stream is done. On top of our YouTube channel, we also run live workshops each and every week, exactly like the one that you are all in right now. And next week's live session is again on the topic of AI agents. And next week we'll be joined by Ethan and Marvin from the team at Lindy. We will be building a GTM, a sales AI agent. And so if you get hooked on agents today and you want to, let's say, keep building and keep learning, definitely join us next week. And I'll just drop in the link here for next week's session as well in the chat. Perfect. And finally, of course, in terms of how we're delivering these skills on a silver platter is through our courses that we have on our online learning platform. And we've really structured these courses to take you from beginner all the way to advanced. At the moment, we have we're working on an intro course, the AI Starter intro course, which is being recorded as we speak, that we plan to launch the end of this month, beginning of next month, where you can join the waitlist. Then we have the AI Operator, which is really where you'll learn how to become productive with AI at work. This is to show you some tips and tricks of using AI as your co-pilot, and then all the way up to our most advanced program, the AI Builder, where you'll learn to automate with AI, building AI-powered automations and agents. And I'll also drop the links to those in the chat, so feel free to take some time if you're interested to check out our different courses as well, which I'll leave up for 1 second. If you do just want to have a quick chat with us and see which of our courses are the right fit for you, or whether they are the right fit for you, then feel free to scan the QR code on the screen. And I'll also drop a link in the chat a little bit later on. I'll leave this up for 1 more minute, but that was the end of my shameless plugs to start the session. And now the real exciting part, hopefully for everyone, starts. And that is with the live build. And I want to introduce our very special guest, Jose from Noxus. Jose, welcome.
Thank you, Jan.
How are you doing? You're excited?
Doing well. The weather is great here in Lisbon. A bit rainy today, but still always good. and excited to share a bit of Noxus with everyone today and to showcase a bit of one of our case management use cases that we have here to allow people to automate a bit better their ticketing systems if necessary.
Perfect. I'm incredibly excited about today as well because I'll actually be building live with everyone. Normally, I'm in your position and I'm nervously building live in front of everyone. But I'll be following along all of your instructions as well. And yeah, I'm also quite new to the Noxus platform, so it should be a good test of how everything goes. Jose, should I already share the link to the instructions for the live build, or do you want to? We first maybe start with you sharing your screen and giving a quick introduction.
Oh, yeah, I can do a quick introduction. I think in the meanwhile, you can start sharing the link, at least for people to get used to it. But I will then share my screen a bit, do a
Yep.
bit of an introduction to the platform,
Perfect.
to us, Noxus, and then we'll move with the workshop. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, looks good. We're in the Noxus platform.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so yeah, this is a bit of the landing page that you get in terms of Noxus. We are a platform for AI and at an enterprise level. The idea behind our platform is that you, as an enterprise, you'll be able to scale and take advantage of not only the platform that we offer for the people, so to allow people who may not have the most technical background able to work with AI, but also at the same time for organizations behind it to be able to have accountability of all the processes that are happening, having traceability of the processes, and also able to scale them in an almost automated way. So today we have three main features here in the platform that we use: the flows to automate processes. We have the coworkers to automate chat-based agents, so conversational agents. And then we have the knowledge bases, which are, let's say, intelligent file systems in a way that use RAG behind it to be able to be AI powered. We'll focus a bit on all of them today. The idea is for you to get a feeling on how to build a use case management. And as part of the instructions that Jan has sent to you, you will see that you have many different files that you can upload. What we did here, we have different stepping stones that we will move towards. And even if you get lost from one to the other, you can always grab on the next one and catch up from there. The idea here is for you to be able to build with us, but don't get overwhelmed. It will be okay. We'll go through all the steps and we will guide you through this. As Jan said, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to ask away. Well, I will answer as much as I can, and hopefully everything will go well without any misstep like it usually happens on live demos. Okay. So with this in mind, I will move a bit with the instructions as we're given to you. So you should all have access to this. And at this point, I hope that most of you, at least or all, already have access to the account. So at this point, you should have access to the account. You should be able to see something like this without any of the flows right now. So are you all ready to start?
I think we're good. Did anyone let us know in the chat if anyone had any issues with setting up the Noxus account? But I think it was pretty straightforward. And I've also dropped in the chat the instructions. So not the page that you're currently on, but the live build instructions here. Exactly. And maybe you could just should everyone get started with first of all downloading the files from the Google Drive? Is that the best way to get started?
Yeah, so the files as I was mentioning, so we built a couple of files, so it goes through the flow in different steps of it. So even if you get lost from the first step to the second step, you can just import the second file and catch up from there, and right away be ahead with all of us. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to start a bit here with the first step, and I will explain the different features as we go through. So you saw a general explanation of the different parts of the platform that we have in terms of what you can automate and what you can use. But the first step is creating a knowledge base. So what would you do here to create a knowledge base? We can create new. We would select a knowledge base, and from there we have a knowledge base created. We can give it a name. In this case, I will call it procedures KB two, since you already have one. And something that we offer out of the box with our platform is the ability to choose what models you're using, to adapt them to your needs. So for the more technical people, you can also define what type of search you're using for these knowledge bases, these intelligent file systems, if it is more keyword search, if it is semantic, or if it is something more hybrid. And at the same time, in terms of the ingestion, you can always choose the model, the chunk size, and how they overlap each other when you're querying for information. So this would be the first step that you do. So you create a knowledge base. In this case, we had this one previously created where we put some of the files that you have there. So
and maybe here, Jose, we can just show in the Google Drive folder which one, if you just open up that link for everyone, is normally useful. So at the top here, you've got the Google Drive. Exactly. And there's two separate things. So one is downloading the PDF, is the knowledge base, right?
Exactly. So this is the one that we are adding to the knowledge base. Okay. And then for the flows, you have here the different flows that we're going to follow through. If you want, if you manage to create the knowledge base and add the file to the knowledge base, then feel free to open the flow view one and we'll move from there. Yeah. So as I was explaining, so we added a file here. As you can see, the agent, the RAG system behind is able to do an interpretation of the file itself. And as you can all see the file, this is what we have there. So it's a bit of a guidelines that we'll give to our agent on how he should answer and what is the objective that you will have, and also some assistance related to billing, to account, to escalation. Of course, this is something very simple, just in terms here for demo, but we wanted to give him some instructions of what he could do. Also, again, maybe a bit of your help. If I'm going too fast at some point, just let me know and we...
No, but maybe you could just, like, I would say, let's just walk through the process of actually importing that file in the knowledge base.
Let's do it. So we can here add knowledge. Okay. So I will download it from the drive. Through here. I can also select it directly from the drive, but just for it to work to all of you. So I go from here, I can choose the file and we should have it here and I can add it right away. So as simple as this. You could also select it, then I just upload item and it is being processed right now. As you can see, it is being processed. It shouldn't take much long. And then you have here the summary like we showed on the other one. Okay. Also, other ways to add files is through Google Drive, to OneDrive, SharePoint, and also you have the ability to scrape websites. So you can actually provide an URL if you want, and also the agent here will be able to scrape the website for you and retrieve the information in different pages from the website. In this case, we added here now the customer support internal protocol. So now we are ready to start building our flow. For the flow itself, I'll start from the flow v1 like you, and we will move from there, okay? So what did we have here? This is like the most simplistic part of the flow in a way. So the beginning, and I can even do something even better. So I will start with an empty one just to showcase you. So the idea here is that we are designing a flow. We are finding something that we need to solve. In this case, we are looking towards use case management. So we'll need an input, which is the customer feedback, right? So what is asking about? And this is an input node. So you have two basic nodes in terms of input and output, which will be the beginning. So what will your flow, the process that you want to automate is receiving, and what is the output? So what will be the outcome of that flow, of that process? This is the editor that we have for you to use. And there's a lot of tools that you'll be able to explore here. Today, we'll focus on like a bit of everything that we have here, from logic to AI nodes to taking advantage of how you can then connect the different features that we showed, the flows, the coworkers, and the knowledge bases.
And Jose, will you be showing how to actually import and like with the flows that we've downloaded into our Noxus?
I can do that as well.
Yeah, I think that would probably be good for all of the steps, is really showing what how the people should be doing it.
Yeah, of course. So we're going to this space. So we did a step one. We set up the knowledge base. Okay. And now we're going to import the starter flow. So we can do that. So I would go here towards import and let me make sure that I have it downloaded from my computer. So the flow v1, like we said, I download it. And now from here, so I'll do it again just to make sure that everyone is aligned. So I went to create new. We have an option here when the pop-up appears for importing. And when I select file, I will have it here, flow v1, imported today. Okay.
Beautiful.
As you can
Nice.
see, it imported the flow. Okay. I'll go a bit back here just to showcase to you how did we build this. So we have the import and import blocks, and now we'll get, so what are we building here? We want to build a knowledge center. So we have the knowledge base QA that we access to, and we'll need to access to it here. So we add here a node that it's called the knowledge base QA. So we're doing a QA to our knowledge base, and we are selecting the knowledge base that we have. And we can select the new one that we created without any issues. And now we're connecting. So we have a question for the customer, some of the feedback that we'll give, that he's giving to us. And through the knowledge base, we'll be able to answer it. So or at least search and have some feedback from the documentation that we offered. If we imagine this at scale, it would be like connecting to a Confluence or connecting to a service now. We will be able to connect to an integration that we would collect the information, interpret it, and have it organized in a knowledge base, and then we'll be able to access it. The other part that you can see on the flow there, and I will open here to show the flow v1. I'll have it here open on the side so you can follow through. The other part that we added here to the version 1 of our flow, it's to read web page. What we want to show here is that you can also retrieve information online. And what we'll have here, we'll search for it and we'll use the read web page
And
node.
Jose, just for like what the people should be doing now. So right now you're just showing how the building experience, right, inside Noxus,
Exactly.
but no one's meant to be following along now. In a second, you'll walk
Yeah,
us
exactly.
through.
So the moment that we are at the version 1, we'll move towards. I just want to show how it began. So what do you have to think before you start building it? And the moment that we arrive here, we'll move on that and living and building the rest. Okay. So
Perfect.
I gave you a bit of a head start, so you can also see how it looks like to have a flow, a simplistic flow. But I really wanted to show to you what it is to build it from scratch. So here we'll have the URL that will pass here, and taking advantage of the version flow that you already have. So I can do it here just to get it. You should already have this on your end. Just call it the same thing, so there's no mistakes. And here is an input that we'll receive on every time that we run the flow. It's something that is dynamic. But for instance, this URL that we're creating here is something that is static. We want to also always connect to the same documentation that we're looking for online. So we have the ability here on the input node to add a fixed value. A fixed value is something that we'll retain over different runs. In this case, we're adding the URL here, and it will do the read web page and receive the information. So what are we missing here? Then we have the AI part. What we want to do here is to add a set of instructions, and these instructions we add to your flow. So this is something that you can do with natural language that helps a lot of people in terms of working with AI. So you do not need to have a lot of knowledge. Of course, you can improve prompts over time. So the more precise and the more clear that you are with the prompts that you offer to your agent, the better you will answer. In this case, we add here a prompt that we are saying that he's a customer support assistant, and we want him to generate a response based on the query that he's receiving. So the query is the customer feedback. We are telling him what resources do you have access to. In this case, he has access to a knowledge base, and he has access to the frequently asked questions content. And also to make sure that you can see that, I'll go here and just open the link as well so all of us can see it together. So this is what we have for the frequently asked questions on the website that we're scraping for information. It's something very simple, as you can see, but with some solutions. So how do you reset your password? How do you update your billing information? If someone is being charged twice, what may be happening? How do you contact customer support? And lastly, what should you do when you encounter a technical problem? And last but not least, I will just copy this to make it a bit easier. Here, I will search for the node. So you always have the ability to either search for the note on our search bar or look for them on one of the specific categories that we have here, because we have nodes from data to logic and to the ones that we're using now with AI. The generic text node, it's, let's say, the most simple one in terms of agents that you're using. Some of them have like categorizers, smart routing, and we'll see some of them. But this is the, let's say, the one that usually works for a simplistic approach, and it works for everything that you want it to use. I will just save it here. Also, we'll add the inputs, which you will have there already. And here will be the query. I'll add the KB, so the knowledge base. And lastly, the frequently asked questions. I connect everything. And this is the flow that you should see there. I can also add the sticky notes to make it a bit more organized. It's always good practice to have your flow organized. Maybe when they are this size, it won't make a difference, but as they get more complex, you'll see that it helps a lot to have something like this. And I'll just create another sticky note here, and so it looks similar to what we have here, AI nodes. Okay. Okay, so this is the flow that you should have right now. Okay, and what we want to do here, we can test it right away. And I challenge you to do the same. So let's say,
And Jose,
hello.
for us
Mhm.
here building it, could you just walk through the step of I've just imported the flow, but do I need to configure something? So for instance, do I need to set what my knowledge base is, or do I like what from the template that I've imported, is it ready to
Mhm.
go and we can test it, or do I need to configure something?
It is ready to go. So
Because I
what did
think
you
for
do on
me
the
here, I've got knowledge base missing on the one
missing?
that I've imported.
Okay, you
Yes,
created your knowledge base, right?
exactly. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I can show you that. I will do something. So this is the flow that you should have. I will generate a new one. So this is what you should have here. Okay, there you go. Okay. So what you should have is this. So you should have the instructions for your agent. You should have the read web page and the frequently asked questions with the URL. The one thing that you're missing is the knowledge base. So for this one, as you say, as the node itself is saying, and things are very visual here at Noxus, it says that the knowledge base is missing. So if we are on the editor, if I click on the node, it will open this configuration window. You can do many things from selecting the model and do the type of retrieval, but what we want here is to connect it to the knowledge base. And for that, we have this dropdown here, we go here, and you should have your knowledge base that you created. Can you confirm that, Jan?
Gotcha. Yeah, that's working. And then just
Perfect.
for the,
Okay.
like explaining a little bit the flow. So we have to
Mhm.
in the flow drop in the knowledge base, but then specifically again, it's always good in the prompt to AI to really say it wouldn't be enough to just connect the knowledge base and ask a question, but rather in the query that you give to the AI, you're also tagging the knowledge base as well,
Exactly.
right? As there's this reiteration. So you say, hey, you've got access to two different files here, a knowledge base and some frequently asked questions, and then giving some very clear instructions on how the agent should use those to answer the question.
Exactly that. So let's say that I did not put it here. So despite it receiving the input of the knowledge base, I'm not passing it on the context to the agent. So he wouldn't know that he have access to the knowledge base. So for that, we pass it here. And this way he knows that this is the query that we're passing. So as you can see, this is the input that we're passing here. So this is the value that comes from here. Our knowledge base is the value that comes from the answer in our knowledge base node, and our frequently asked questions is the answer from the read web page node.
Perfect. All
There.
right. So maybe we can just ask, is that how's everyone doing in the chat? Were you able to get to that level? And then I guess the next step would be that we all test this out together. So I've got a few reactions here. I think some people are already at this spot. That's good. Yeah, we got some thumbs up. All right. So Jose, how should we What's a good
Okay.
query we should ask to test
No,
this out?
I'm saying just to get a question that I think is very interesting. If I can answer here, Jan,
Yeah,
from
sure.
Marcus. So he's asking about the dynamism behind the input. So yeah, the what I mean by the inputs are dynamic, and I'll run this over. So the read web page, if we add to the read web page, he also does the search. So every iteration that you do of this run, he will be updated with the website. For the knowledge base, the same. So if you add files to the knowledge base, you do not need to connect them here. This will always be reading from the most updated version of the knowledge base, the current version. I think that's a good question.
Perfect. And we did have one more question since we're on the topic of knowledge base, and maybe
Yeah, go for it.
before we test this out altogether in our first step, let me just scroll up and find it. And just to reiterate, I know some people joined late. What we're building here is a case management agent. So also feel free to check out the event description if you want some more information. But yeah, we had a great question from Shabir saying, is the knowledge base with docs processed as proper RAG with chunking? So
Yes.
maybe like 2 questions on that for some beginners here. What is chunking when it comes to retrieval augmented generation? And then is that the way you are approaching it in Noxus?
Okay, yeah. So we are using a rack system, and the idea is that when you do the query, it searches for either. So we have different types of searches, but I will talk about, let's say, the 2 most common. Let's say it would either search for specific keywords that would match. So we try to find the best match for those words, or it would do the semantic search. So we would try to interpret what you're saying, and from the words that you're saying, try to understand what would be the answer that you want from it. Okay.
Gotcha.
Chunking behind it is that the way it works is that it retrieves different chunks. So it finds that instead of retrieving the entire information, it retrieves parts of the information that it finds most relevant, and those out of, let's say, the 10 most relevant, the 20 most relevant, that's something that you can parameterize on the model that you're using and the parameters that you're using. Then you will retrieve the ones that he finds most relevant, and out of those, then compile an answer based on the chunks that it retrieved.
Gotcha.
This is in order that it will not need to gather all the information. It will only gather the relevant information from the prompt that we're asking it from.
Makes sense. And I guess that obviously in our case here, we have a very, very simple PDF. But the reason why this chunking is so important is pure, like real company knowledge bases will probably be hundreds, if not thousands of pages. And obviously we don't want the LLM to be confused in all of this context and having every single thing. So rather just finding of this long knowledge base, what are the exact individual bits of information that it needs to answer the question?
Exactly. And the idea here is that you, with all these agent nodes, the knowledge base nodes, and even the knowledge bases, you're doing atomic tasks. So as the smaller that the tasks are, the more precise each agent will be. So if you try to find a knowledge base that suddenly has all the information, then the knowledge base retriever will have a harder time retrieving the information that you want, because it will have a lot of chunks that might be relevant. And as you were saying, Jens, so for companies which have a lot of information, usually even you have more than one knowledge base. You can categorize different knowledge bases for different aspects that you want to run. Let's say one for billing tickets, one for accounting. You can even separate as much as that, and offer other ways of organizing your data to make sure that the questions that you're making is for the correct knowledge bases that will give, in turn, the correct answers for what you need.
Perfect.
As we're looking here for a demo, very simple. We just need the one. Okay, so for our query, I'm going to ask about something that was in the FAQ, if I'm not mistaken. So, hello, I cannot find my billing information. And here we are still working inside the flow. So we'll move towards an email-based answer. But right now, let's say we're building a flow. So we are testing it inside the editor. We want to make sure that everything is working properly before we close the flow. I cannot find my billing information. Please help me.
And I'll just drop that in the chat for anyone who wants to try it out.
Yeah. Okay, good. So as you can see, also one thing that we do is that you can always see the progress of your flow, be it when you're building or be it after it as past history, past runs. You can always check what you did, how it went, why it might have failed, why it might have run, where did it take a longer time, where was it faster, because the idea is that you have complete control over the AI processes that you're developing here. As you can see, this was the output. So from our flow, this was the agent that produced it. So thanks for reaching out. I'm sorry that you're having trouble. So it generated a kind of email body that we'll be able to send back to the person later on our flows, showing a bit on the progress. So as you can see, these were our inputs, right? We have the read web page where we can see the results from the scraping. So we went to the web page and retrieved this, what we showed here. You see, and from our QA, it got here. So from the input, what we got was this. So you're having trouble as a customer support, and this is what we got from the knowledge base that gives a bit of some direction on how you should deal with clients in terms of invoices and payment breakdown, so related to billing. As for the text itself, so these were the inputs that we have. So as you can see in the flow, the query, the KB, and the frequently asked questions. And for our result, you can see the result that we saw at the end that it generated to answer our customer feedback. And with this, you have the first flow working. So he managed to retrieve information from different sources, generate a response with the help of an AI agent, and then output that response.
Perfect. And we had a couple of questions with regards to the generate text node. I think maybe in the instructions it wasn't quite clear, but that should all be already set up for people, right? Where they don't need to create their own prompt. That's already in there in the flow. It was in my case anyway.
I added to the flow already, yeah.
Exactly. So you didn't need to touch anything there. The only thing we needed to do in this first flow one was just set our knowledge base. But while we're here, a couple of people were asking around model selection. So how we can select the model and then, try around with different. So we basically we're not able to select a specific model, right? We can't select
you can select specific model. What we do is that we offer a smart selection. So the idea here is your focus to be the most performative model? You can choose performance. If it is to be the cheapest model, then you can choose cost. If you know that you'll have a really big prompt, you want to use the one that can receive the biggest amount of tokens, right? So these are the three ones that we offer. But you have a slider here that you can click and you can actually choose it yourself. So one thing that we offer here is also we are very agnostic in terms of provider. So you in the solution that we have on the cloud, you can access to all the most recent models. So let's say that instead of the 5 mini, I wanted to use ChatGPT 5. I could put it here. I can also change the order of the models that are being used. Something additional to this is that being it on the smart selection or here on the manual selection of the model, this also works as a fallback system. So we are not only selecting the models that we want to use, but let's say that we had a very big prompt and something at scale, and Gemini 2.5 flash, was already being overwhelmed with the amount of requests that you were doing to him. If he didn't have enough tokens on the rate limits that were available for the model, he would do a fallback to the second model and answer with it as well to make sure that you always have a fallback system to work with.
Perfect. Really
you also
cool.
have another advanced options, like you could see on the knowledge bases. This one's more specific for models in terms of the tokens. The temperature is a bit more if you want the model to be more creative or less creative. The timeout, so the amount of time that you want to run the model, and some other how you penalize different things, the reliability of the model. So you have a lot of flexibility in how you can define your models and how you want to use them.
Perfect. And for business people like me, like I'm not an AI engineer by any means, would you always recommend, like when we get started and build our first flows, should we just leave all of the suggested settings as is and really only tweak them once we start testing and iterating? Or you think that depending on the use case, you should already set some default settings?
Yeah, I would say like for most people, the smart model selection will be enough. So for you to select one focus if you want something to go fast, or if you want something to be more performant and answer with more reason. And then maybe as a first step, I would say for you to start messing a bit around with the temperature. Usually that's the first one to our clients that I tell people as they get used to the platform to work with, because this usually determines if the answer of the model will always be the same or if we'll infer a bit of different things over time. So that helps a lot, I would say, for the first one, and then explore it. You'll learn it at your own pace, and you'll see things working. And since you can see the output very clearly and very fast, it's easier also to understand if I change this, what will be the impact.
Perfect.
Okay, so moving towards V2, and I will make sure that I'll follow through with this, so it's easier for you to follow with me. So for the step 5, we want to add the human in the loop. The human in the loop is something very important. So we are tackling with a lot of time critical processes. So we not only want to be able to automate them, but we also want to make sure that at the specific points in times, we can also bring humans to the process and answer if the agent is not clear or if it's not certain of what is the answer that is giving. So for that, we'll pass it here. I'll cut this connection for now. And now feel free to build from here. If you ever get lost or if there's something you don't understand, you also can import the Flow v2. And this will be a bit further ahead in terms of development of the flow. But we'll build it here together to make sure that we all understand. So we are talking about human in the loop. For that, we have a node here, which is the human review. So this node allows for a specific task to be passed here, a specific task to be passed here and to be tackled by a human before going through the remainder of the process. And to be able to understand if it is a task that should be taken by a human or not, we have a condition node. For the people who are more technical, let's say that this is a bit of an if-else statement, but this is just a condition. So you tell him something. If it is true, he will follow one path. If it is false, it will follow another path. In this case, what we'll do is that we'll add one small instruction to our agent, and this one you won't have it if you're following from this point on. But if not, I can also open it here. Oh, it's seeing me out. I've been online for a long time. Okay.
Yeah, and maybe it'd be good to just go through that flow one more time from the V1 template to adding the human in the loop.
Okay. No worries. We're working here. Okay. So what did we do? So our flow V1 was this. So this was our flow V1. I can even delete this too to showcase you. So this was the flow V1. We have an input, the customer feedback. We gather the knowledge, and then we generate the response with the AI node. What we'll be doing here now is add the human in the loop. So add the capability for humans in certain occasions to answer mid-flow before the process goes.
Got it. So our flow will always end in the response, like that last node.
Exactly.
We're not deleting it. We're just disconnecting it and we reconnect it later.
Exactly.
Perfect.
So, and I can do that. So we'll need a condition to decide whether we need a human input or not. And we'll need something which is our join path node. This is basically connecting the different inputs. We'll only have one type of output, so we will always have an answer. And here what we want to do is that it will either be answered by a human with our human review node, or it will come directly from the generate text if the agent is able to answer it.
All right, so the two nodes that we need to be adding is one's called human review and the other one's called condition.
Exactly, condition.
Yeah, and then the last one, join paths. Okay.
Exactly. So if you go here in the search for it, so if you search for human review, you will have it here. The same for condition node. And last but not least, our join path.
Awesome.
So now we need to define our condition. What will be the question that we'll need to answer to either decide that it is to be answered by a human or by the agent itself. And here I have here the flow done and something that we'll need to add here just to fetch it to make it easier. So for our generate text, we need to give it a way for it to let us know whether he needs to review the documentation. So if he's certain of his answer or if not. And for that, I'll ask all of you to go here to the prompt. So click on the generate text and add towards the prompt and add here a new one. So we'll say, if you are not certain of your answer, please add, I think it's require review, but you can pass it to the end of your statement, something like that. I can just paste the other one that I have here, but yeah. So what I did here, so if you cannot confidently resolve the query with the given information, add needs review. So what we're doing is that, and I can also run from here. So something that we have available on our platform is that you can run nodes till a certain point. So you have always, in each node, you have this here, which says run until here. So we can run it until here. And just to showcase how the answer is being changed, I can say like, hello, something. My flow page is not showing. It seems to be bugged, something like this. So this is something that we do not have in our documentation that we're providing. So if I go it like this, and we're just running a partial flow here. So as you can see here, so it gave the flow page, so it answered as the agent is expected to answer, but at the end, now it added the needs review because it said, okay, this is something that I do not have in my documentation. This will need some human feedback here.
And so just quickly, what was a good question that we can ask that would require review?
Here I just asked for, I can show you here on past shows. So here I just saw, hello, my flow page is not showing, it seems to be bugged. So if you ask something that is not on the documentation, you will add the needs review. Here I just talked about the flow page, which he doesn't know anything about.
Awesome. And maybe while that's running, Jose, we got a really good question here from Lovish. If we can add personalization variables to our communication. So can we add, how do we bring in the flow, the person's age, their email address, like what are the internal data we would have about the person? And I guess that's something to do with the inputs that we get at the start of our workflow. Is that right?
Exactly. So we could have two ways to do it, right? Let's say if it was a customer that you have in your database, you could do something like an SQL query for the ones with data science, and you could pass here and just select and retrieve the customer information. And then let's say pass it here to our generate text, and you would have an input customer information, and we could pass it from a query directly from your database. Another way, you could have a knowledge base for customers. So we could have something like this. And let's say that we have a knowledge base for customers. And here from the customer, and you'll see on the patterns, let's say that we have the email that sent the information. Here an input. And let's say that we had the email of the sender. We could pass the email of the sender towards the knowledge base. And let's say that the knowledge base here was related to accounts, something like this. So you have the customer information here. You can also change the name here, but customer information. Let's say this was the knowledge base with our customer information, and you could pass the email. And the question would be, okay, from this email, retrieve the information that I want to get from my customer. And then you could pass that to our generate text. With this, the generate text would have access to the customer information, and you could pass it here like, okay, customer information. I'll put it like this. Now the agent has access to it, and as part of the answer, we could offer it. One of our instructions would be add the name, age, and location of the customer to the body of the email to welcome to personalize the experience of the user. Let's say something like this. So it would be just add the source of information, connect it to the prompt that you're generating, and then add those instructions to the prompt that you're using. Was that clear?
Yeah, very clear.
Perfect. Okay, I'll remove it now since we do not have customer information here. but this is how we would do it.
Awesome. And a couple of, I'm not sure, see how it goes on your end, Jose, but if there's any possibility of zooming in sometimes when you're showing like text.
Oh, okay.
Slide.
I'll
Yeah,
do it.
perfect.
Like here, you want to see a bit more
Yeah,
like this.
perfect. Now I just ran that one. I had a different result when I asked my flow page is not showing, it seems to be bugged. It said, per our FAQ, please try refreshing the page, clearing your browser cache. Is this
Oh, interesting.
hallucination that's going on here, or do I just need to look
No.
at
It's actually
my
you
prompt?
have it here. So you have how should I encounter a technical problem?
Gotcha.
So for you found it like a technical problem. But what was your prompt? Did you do it exactly like this one?
Exactly. I said the prompt I had was what you put originally with step 5. If you are not certain of your answer, please add require review to the end of your statement.
Okay, maybe certain. Okay,
But
so
confidently is probably a good one instead of
yeah,
not
that's the thing.
certain.
So the words, and that's something that you'll find out as you explore more of the platform. Words matter a lot for agents. So certain, confidently, maybe confidently he was certain but not confidently on his answer.
Yeah,
But I would challenge you to try it and change here a bit the prompt and see if it answers differently. If not, then change a bit of the temperature, like we said, because with the temperature you will have a bit of different answers. But his answer was based on information, so he did not hallucinate. It was the threshold for being certain or being confident. It's a bit different from the agent depending on the words that you use to explain the prompt. And a very crucial part of developing these flows is um, how you do the prompts and how you do small adjustments to your flow to have it answer in the way that you want.
makes sense.
Okay. In this case, now we need to define the condition. Our condition will be that we'll have this, so the needs review. And I'll just say, so from our input one, so that we're receiving this response, if the condition type is a text, we will look for a text and we will look if this exists. Okay, so no one. If it is true, we will still return the response. And if it is false, we will return still the response. Additionally, we can add something here just to make it so I can put here the query and I can fetch the information that we had at the beginning. So the person who is going to read it not only has access to the response of the agent, but also the initial query. So he knows what he can use. And here we can do it like this. So I will do that. This is the query. And this is the response.
Got it. And I think that answers Diana's question in the chat about what's the difference between input one and query. But basically, how it works in Noxus is we can add any number of inputs, and I guess best practice then is renaming your inputs as you go.
I
But
should
I guess
rename this as well. And
yeah,
there we go. So and it's depth to what you're doing. So here I'll delete this. But yeah, you can. So the nodes that have this plus sign, it's nodes that you can add any number of inputs that you want. In this case, you're doing a condition. We are only checking the condition if it has review. But condition. But then we're answering with here. So here for the task. Let's say I'm going to add it here. So this is what will appear on the task, and then I want for it to be text and for the person to be able to add the text. I think everything is set. So here we connected everything. So we have the condition, we have the human review, the join paths, and output following it.
And another question, if we can, how do you handle, or what do you recommend about handling private and confidential information inside these Noxus flows?
So how we usually do, we deploy on the infrastructure of the customer. So everything is set up within your own company, within your own network, your own network policies, within your own infrastructure. So in terms of data, it allows a lot of protection for the agreements that you have with the model providers, so the DPAs that you have with the model providers, and also what we have here. Additionally, we have, now I should know by heart this, but we have SOC 2, we have a lot of security certifications here, ISO, and some others to allow for protection within the flow. But if you're using our or the SaaS tool that we have available online, so the one that you can just sign in and use right away, that one, it is running through our models, okay, to our model providers. So be aware of the information that you use. We're not going to look at it, and this runs seamlessly within the flow. But if it is deployed on your companies, on your enterprises, then the data and all the responsibility of it is totally yours, and we do not have access to those. We even need remote access to a specific account to be able to help you if you need any help with the platform itself. Okay, so this, I'll just add a sticky note here to make it a bit more organized. I'll put this here. Okay, something like this. We can give it the blue color and just say human in the loop. Okay, and I'll just show you here. I'm trying not to go too fast, but trying to show you a bit of everything. But let's say the one that I had used before. So we can always check here. That's documentations, and I'll run here again. So I'll press the run like we did for the other one, and I'll run the flow. And as you can see, it got to human review. And here at Noxus, we have the task manager. So here you can actually have a task and have it assigned to someone. So we could have, and this is something that I could have done. So just to show you here, I could have assigned it to a specific person, okay, from the people that we have on the workspace. In this case, I said that it did not have any default assignee. But here I can assign it to myself. And by doing this, I have here the information. So the query was, hello, my flow page is not showing, and then the response that the agent gave. As you can see, as we can see here again, it gave a similar answer to yours. So the FAQ suggests that you try refreshing the page, but it knows that it needs review. So here you can see, and I can, for instance, like copy this. I could also have it as an initial response if we wanted. But here, hello, I understand your experience. You can reach us, and it seems okay. For your specific query regarding the flow page, you can also check, let's say, the documentation at documentation.example, something like this, .ai, something like this. Okay, and I would answer, and then it would run the rest of the flow. So you would see here, the flow would be complete. And as you can see, this is the answer that we gave here on our end. Oh, wait, I'm not on the correct one. Is this one? And as you can see here, the answer is given with the human review, and it passed, and everything passed through.
Very
and
cool.
You can see here, for a specific query regarding the flow page, you can also check the documentation, what we added on our task manager.
And Jose, is there like, when these tasks come in, how can we think about it? Do they expire after a while? Or if like someone would, like, let's say this got sent to the wrong place and 30 days later someone answers this, the workflow would just kick off where it left off when that person answers?
Yes. Poor Stoll, we had to be waiting for 30 days for an answer. But yeah, so the flows,
we want to have slightly quicker response times for sure.
Exactly. The SLAs, I don't know if they will agree with the 30-day response. but our engine behind it, it allows for these tasks, they run parallel to each other. So you could even have multiple of them running at the same time, and they become queued and waiting for an answer until they are answered. Okay, so this is the part 2, let's say, and now the idea is for us to include categories. As we know, until now, we have only tackled with how can we incorporate humans, and we just have a more generic answer. But as enterprises, they have much more complexity in how they answer, on how they do their case management, how they answer tickets. And for that, what we're going to add is a bit of a categorization, a simple one, but still a categorization. For this one, if you didn't manage to go along until here, you can open the V2. So this is the state of the flow V2. And also you can download the V3 and get ready for it, which will be this step that we'll be working on now. So at the end of it, we should expect to have something like this.
And I guess whenever you're importing these new flows, the only thing you need to do straight away is connect up your knowledge base.
Exactly, because the knowledge base was created by you. That one you always need to do. So you need to connect the knowledge base because since you're importing the flow, it doesn't know where you can find it before you give it the instruction to. Okay, so for our categorization, the idea is that between here, the human and the AI node, we will do a categorization. And I'll add this here just to make it a bit more organized. Okay. As you can see, you can drag and drop everything and organize your flows. But what we're going to use here today is the smart route. So this is an AI node, okay? And what it allows you to do, it will receive a prompt. You can give it instructions, and with that, it can categorize. In this case, we'll give here 3 categories. So I'll add here add routes. So we are adding the routes that we want to use. And as you can see now, he has name, output 1 and output 2. And we'll give it some name. So let's say one is billing. The other one is, let's say, accounts. And let's give one for order, or something that is it's not billing or account. For our prompts, so we have the context so that it already needs review. So right, if it needs review, instead of going directly to the human now we want to pass it towards our smart route for him to select which direction it should go in terms of the human. And now we need to define what are the conditions that we'll need to put for each one of them. And for that, let me just get here to response. To have it, okay. Just to change the input name, like Jan was saying, very important if you want to keep have it organized over time. And we'll say here, so this is where we're defining a condition for the route billing, and we'll say the query is related to billing and the response needs review. So we are giving it 2 things that it needs to worry about. What is the topic of the response, and does it require review or no? A good way to make sure that also I'll add something here, which is the query. So we have access to the initial query as well, right? So we know, and we can pull it from here and get it to our node. Here on the node, and I will zoom in a bit as per request. Okay. So what are we doing to our query? We want to make it related to billing and that the response needs review. To make it easier for the agents to understand, what you can offer them is HTML tags. So we're going to say, so we talked about the query, and we're going to offer him the query. And we also talked about a response. So we're going to give him the variable of the response. This is just for the agent to understand better what it is. You could do something like query 2 dots and write it below. This way is very clear for him. This is the tag for what the query is, and this is the tag for what the response is. Okay, zooming out a bit. Now, for the output, we want additionally for it to be the query and our response. Okay, and then I need to do the same for the other 2. Just changing. So I'm copying and pasting. This is not billing. Now we're talking about accounts. So the query is related to accounts. The rest stays the same. And last but not least, for the other is related to other issues, and the response needs review.
And Jose, with these smart routes, does it work that it will go down the path, any path that it matches? Because imagine if there's a response required around accounts and billing, or is it goes down the first one, and therefore the order of these routes is very important?
No, so it goes to, so you either can have it select only one, the most relevant that it finds, or you can have it select multiple.
Gotcha.
So in this case, if I take this slider off, it could go towards more than one. In this case, since we are putting it directly to the human review, it will actually pop three human review paths. But If we wanted to do something that could select multiple ones, we would need to make it a bit more complex ahead, so it could be dealt properly within each one of the branch and then finally connect to the output. But yeah, so what we did, we defined for the billing, what is the condition, what is the output, same for the account, and lastly for the other. So now we have the 3 routes prepared, and we can create our human review for each one of them. Just here a bit more space for it to work with. And you can do something like this. Okay. So we can go here, here, and here. So we're connecting to one of them. And what I'm going to do here is to assign it to a different person. Let's say on a real use case, let's say that you have a department for billing, a department for accounting, and a department for other related stuff. I'll put, let's say, Lorenzo here, my colleague, on billing. We already have the input being passed here, and we can even pass here the input one as the first response, so he doesn't have to copy and paste everything. Let's put this one for myself, and also pass here the input one for now. And lastly, let's put George on the last one. Also, for if you're putting yourself here on the human review, you will, if you assign yourself to a task, you will receive an email saying that you have an assigned task. So it's not only on the platform that you'll see it on the task manager once it is showcased, but also here on the different ones. Okay. And now we need to add more inputs here so you can receive all of them. I will connect all of them and just making sure that is selected. And I can even give it a titles. Here will be billing. It would be account. And here would be other. Okay. And with it, we have a categorization. So if you did not manage to get until here, you can open the Flow V3 and you should have something like this. A reminder, like Ken is saying, don't forget to connect your knowledge base.
And maybe because we did have a question in the chat, if you could just show the knowledge base part one more time.
Yeah.
We're not creating a new one, but just connecting it in here.
Yeah, no worries. So let's say that I need to get a new one just to show. So you should have it like this, saying knowledge base missing with missing or one of more configuration parameters. If you have it like this, then you just click it here. You can pick an option and select the knowledge base that you want to connect it here. Should be something like procedures KB if you gave it the same name as I did. Then it's just, it is already connected, so you do not need to do anything apart from that. And it should look like that after you have connected it here. Okay, so this would categorize it in terms of time. So I have time for everything. I will run it. Well, let's say I can give it a try, at least show you it showing up on the task manager. That's something that will be cool. And let's say, hello, my account is bugged. I want to push it towards the accounts category. I cannot access it. I think the multi-factor authentication, let's say, is not working. Something like this. Okay. Oh, it actually managed to answer it. Okay, I need to find another prompt that you will find that it needs review. What was the last one that we used? Okay, I'll just grab this one because this one I know that it finds. Okay, so if I go here, run it again. Okay. Okay, so it's, well, it gets our data. And I'll show you here. I would say for you to start getting the flow V4, okay? this is the next step that we'll do. You can start importing it. And in the meanwhile, I can also show you that what I was saying. So when you're assigned a new task, you get an email saying here that can send you to the task manager right away for you to go and check your task. As you can see here with the message that we had before, it goes to the task manager. And if I go here, we'll see that this one he considered other, so it did not want to send. This is not about billing or account, so it sent it directly to George, my colleague, which was this one that we assigned to George. So he went to the smart route. He decided, okay, this is for George, and it should proceed. Here, for you to be able to do it, I will take the responsibility from George. So you can always change the assignment once you're at the task manager if necessary. And also I'll check here. Okay, it seems okay. I'll do this and get. So my response, okay, let's say that this response is okay. I'll submit it and it will finish the flow from here. Okay. So if we check here, okay, it is waiting for the answer. Okay, it should be here. And as you can see, I just want to show you here the smart routing. So as you can see, the query texted with the flow page not showing indicated when the response provides troubleshooting. Therefore, the query are not related to billing or account management. So we decided to use to other and send on that path. As you can see, our AI nodes, the ones that have reasoning, you can always check the reasoning behind them.
Very cool. We've got a couple of questions just before you jump into the next part. So
Go for
one
it.
from Bernard on Human in the Loop. So at the moment, Human in the Loop, like it only works within the Noxus platform itself. Is that the way it's intended, or could this also be escalated to other enterprise software or identity access management tools, or everything? And you need to be a user in Noxus to use this human review step.
Right now, we have here on the test review. You can also do it by email, but we keep developing new ways to use it. So, and we have a lot of integrations. So something that you'll be able to explore in the platform later is that we have a lot of integrations with, let's say, for instance, Jira to create tickets. And you could have something that after the human review that you do it, you could create a ticket on Jira. And we are also developing more tools to be able to connect this to external systems. This is something that we have on our roadmap to introduce. Right now, it's either here or by email, but we'll have more very, very soon.
Perfect. And another one, which is a really interesting question from Andras, I guess a little bit on like RAG architecture. So what happens if you have like 100 knowledge bases? How do you instruct the agent which one to use with the knowledge base node?
So here you are selecting a specific knowledge base. So you could have two ways of doing this. So you could either have different knowledge bases and, for instance, use the smart route and only after the smart route gather the information. So depends on how you build your flow, right? Because we could do the categorization based on the query only. Depending on that categorization, access a different knowledge base. Let's say that we had something like this. So this, we would connect this to the smart route. We are going a bit out of the script here, but let's say that we had something like this, and we would do this.
And then if it's billing, go to the billing knowledge base. If it's account, go to the accounts knowledge base and build it out that way. Yeah, really smart.
Exactly. So you could also categorize the knowledge base that you're accessing, and with that, compartmentalize better the knowledge that you're using. Other way that you can do it as well, we have one node here, which is the agent node, which is a bit like the generate text, but a bit more complex. You can actually give it some flows or some knowledge bases. So you could pass here, let's say, one knowledge base for accounting, one knowledge base for procedures, and in the instructions, you could give it for accounting, access procedures KB2, for billing, something like this, access procedures KB. And just with the node, you're giving it access to different knowledge bases and giving it expressions on how it should behave depending on the type of input that you receive. So we have many different ways to deal with similar problems. It depends on the complexity of the issue, how you want to approach it, and how you want to build it.
And have you, because it's like a very interesting topic that obviously there's a lot of discussion around right now, have you realized any best practices yourselves there with the team at Noxus in terms of, let's say if we have a 20-page PDF document on accounting and a 20-page on accounts and a 20-page PDF on billing, is it actually better to just put them into one document with very clear headers to say, hey, this is the section on accounting and this is the section on billing, and give that whole document in one knowledge base? Or is it better to actually split up knowledge bases per themes, per topics, that sort of thing?
So if you're talking about accessing something like a Confluence with a lot of spaces, a lot of pages, I would say put it like one knowledge base per space or one knowledge base per page that you have. And if you're talking just about one big document, you could even pass it as an input. So you could do something like this and have it either as a fixed value or something that you can pass or retrieve it from your drive. So you could even have a dynamic file that you have on your drive that you update over time. And we have something which is the file to text. And you could use this to directly read the file and use all the information that you have here. So from here, you could connect this here, let's say to not the agent, but your generate text. And you could have
I guess
here.
it would just depend on the context window of the model in terms of, makes sense.
So here we have, let's say docs, and here the query. So it depends on the size of the file. It depends on how many files you're using, what is the organization that you want to give behind them, because it will work even if it is a simple organization. Then it depends on how you're using the workflows, how you see the output, how you want to refine the output. And you do not need to have a final solution the first time that you build it. The idea is to have something fast that you can iterate over and then refine it over time.
Very cool. One more quick question before we get on to the next part from Diana. If you could just go over again, why do we need the join paths node? Is it not possible to just lead to like that all of the three all of the three answers from the smart router go straight to the response?
Yeah, so the join paths works to connect different paths. So the idea here is that we will always only have one answer, right? The output will always be the same. It will be an output right here is just an output here on the flow, but on the next part that we'll see, and I will maybe have to go a bit faster there or just show you things built and how we got there. But it will be an email. So it is always the same email that will get the answer. So it would not make sense to do, let's say, the send email, like not the Slack message. I want to send email. It would not make sense to create one of these for each one of the iterations that we have, right? So the idea here is that with this, you are saying, okay, one of these paths will reach this one. It will always be only one, right? Because either the condition is false and goes directly here, or it's true, will be categorized one of them and will follow one of the paths. And here is us just saying to the flow, okay, you have all these paths, you will get one answer, and that's the answer that should proceed ahead.
Perfect. All right, let's move on.
Okay, yeah, let's go. So we have time. So now go to your flows, get the flow v4, and we'll build towards that. I'll open it here as well, just to show you here on the workspace. Okay, so this is the next part, and I will show you from here since we are a bit low on time, and I would like to show you the coworkers as well. So this is all that we had before, so we did not change anything. So what we did here was add this part. So our output that we had before with our response, right? So this one, so this is what we had before. So just with this, right? And now we say, okay, we don't want a response. We actually want it to answer back to the customer. So the idea is that we receive an email here with the body, and this will be the body of the email, our customer query. And then
this is one question that a few people have had about how do we actually bring this into a real scenario. I don't know if that's coming at the end, but for testing purposes, you've got an input node at the start, but you could easily connect that up to like some sort of support inbox, right? Where whenever that support inbox receives an email, this workflow will run.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I was going to show later. I can show it now because of time, but yeah. So and just to summarize a bit what we're doing here. So we have a new input, which is the sender, so the email that we're receiving. We have one which is the subject of the email, which we are just adding something here. So we are just adding the so we know that it is a reply to an email to answer it back. We connect it to our node, the recipient title and body, and we have the email. For the email here, you will have to connect it. So the integration works at the workspace level, but you can connect it just with one click here to your Gmail, or you also have Outlook if you're using Outlook. So if I say send email, you also have Outlook here if you want to use it. To answer Jan's question, so we have something that we call triggers. Triggers, one thing, for you to have triggers, you need to save a version. Okay, so if you want to check out the triggers, you need to go here and save one version. So you go here, you click on save new version, and you give it a name. Let's say version 2.0. Once you have a version saved, you can actually use the triggers. This happens to make sure that things are not changed when they start to go into production, start to being automated. So we require you to save a version. So the trigger, how you're going to automate that process, is attached to that version. In this case, the trigger can be, in a way, a routine. So we could do it with a message on Slack. So we could have a message on Slack or a message on Teams triggering this workflow. We could have a webhook triggering this workflow, a schedule. So if it's something that happens once every day, we could have it trigger one of the processes that we want. But the one that we want to use here is the Gmail one. So I'm going to select the version that I'm using, in this case, version V2. Here, I would advise you, and that's something that is here on the a warning for all of you. I would advise you to scope it to a specific email. Just because if you do not scope it, it will answer back to any email that you receive from now on when you turn the trigger, and we do not want to answer to the ones that we don't want. So I'm going to just put here my email, and I'm going to say, okay, this is okay, can be from any one of them. And then here, we are passing here to the inputs that we have. So we have the sender input, the subject input, and the customer query. So we'll say that this is the message body, right, for our query. We'll say that our sender is our sender and our subject is our subject. So this way, we are connecting it to an email. So any new emails that the integration that we have on the workflow will receive, he will check what is the subject, what is the email that is sending that email, and what is the body. So if I create the trigger, now we'll have here that he's checking for any email that he receives with this specific email, my own in this case, and the version that it is using. And just to make sure, I can do it from my email. So let's say here, compose, I'll open this one, and let's say, I think it is email from Lorenzo that is connected to the platform. And let's say account, let's say issues with flow page. Or let's make the automatic one, billing issue, something like this. I do not find my billing information. Can you please help? Clear, best regards, and send it away. And so while this is running on the background, I'll show you. We'll just jump towards a step ahead if that is okay, just in terms of time.
Yeah.
And if you can, please download the full flow. Okay, right now, download this one and import it. And I will open it here. So this is a bit of the next steps that we have, and I just want to go over them to showcase you all, then we can build complexity here. One of them that we did here was the acknowledge part. So when they receive the email on the first part, send an email right away, just saying, okay, hello, this is an automated response to let you know that we have received your email regarding the subject. We are analyzing and request, just to let the person know, okay, we received your query, we'll answer right back. The other part, which I think it's interesting and then it creates a cycle, is knowledge ingestion. So up until now, we just read from knowledge, right? From the knowledge base that we have. But it's actually possible in the flows to do the ingestion of the files. And what we're doing here is that once the query is done, so once we have the human in the loop and it has answered and decided what is the answer that will do the customer query, we transform it into a file and then add it to a knowledge base. And to show you that, I'll go here
So here you're adding
show
just the query or the query and the answer?
the query and the answer.
Ah, nice.
So
So that's
here,
this basically the way that it continually learns.
exactly. As you can see here, we have questions that we did before in terms to test this with different jobs. And if I open even some of them, okay, account block, let's say here and showcase this one, okay, and it gives you the answer that has happened. So we have, the idea here is that we can build a knowledge base with all the answers that we have. And what is the goal for this? That I want to show, and that is the last part. And then we'll see the answer of the agent. And it's the part that I have not showed you yet, which is a bit above the flow, let's say, that we're developing, which is the coworker. So it's the conversational part of the application. So the ability to also build an agent that is chat-based and then with some simple instructions can offer you some benefits. The idea here is that with this last flow, we were building a knowledge ingestion, right? So right now we have a knowledge base that has the history of the past history of all the tickets that we answered. But I want to have an account management assistant. Let's say that you were someone that was in charge of understanding what were the biggest issues that we have, what were the tickets that were always being asked for. There was an issue that keeps happening all the time. So we designed this coworker with just some instructions. So, and as always, natural language, but saying, okay, so you're going to be a customer health and sentiment analysis. You will utilize accounts KB, so the ones that I showed with the solve tickets, to provide insights in how customers are faring. The idea behind you is to identify pain points, example queries, track some resolution metrics. So give him some instructions on how he should behave and what is his objective. Some guiding development and focus, and then form account. So what is the things that he should answer? And we gave him some instructions. And also here we gave him access to the accounts KB and to the procedures KB. What is the goal here? We give it access to the solve tickets, so he knows what is going on, what is the issues that people are having, but we also give it access to the procedures KB. So he knows, okay, what is the information that we're passing to people? How can we improve that? We also have other features that we can pass here on the coworker from also the human in the loop. So we also have the ability. So in the flows, you have for a specific task. Here on the agent, you can give him the ability, if he doesn't know how to answer something, to pass it to a human. And the human can overtake the conversation and then return it back to the agent once the human has helped the user. Also attaching files, going to the internet. But what I want to show you here was a bit of the chat working. Okay. Can you give me a list of the main issues we are finding in the platform? And as you can see, searching the knowledge base. So we are connecting the different parts that we have. And now it's saying, okay, you have some with billing issue, being double charged or defining billing information. You have some account issues here with the technical issues with event tasks and the instance where the users are assigned tasks that require manual action. Okay.
So could we think of these as almost like these co-workers in Noxus are almost like a very, very powerful version of custom GPTs in terms of that, like
Exactly.
their only purpose is to interact via chat with your internal team, but you don't actually like drop these co-workers into workflows.
You can also, like with agent node, you can put in workflows. You can even connect workflows here. So for instance, here we could connect one of the flows here, right? So we could have it this. So this was an agent for more internal purposes for the people managing the accounts, could ask
Yeah.
questions, provide feedback, ask for feedback. But you could also do it as a first line for people to use it for tickets. You could have a flow for ticket resolution, and you could connect it here. Let's say connected here, the V2 that we had before, and you can pass it here. So the sender email of the customer, subject of the ticket, and here description of the
Very
ticket.
cool.
And we could have some execution conditions, execute this when you have information. I will correct that typo regarding a ticket and the email of the user.
So it really
here.
depends on depending on your process, whether it's something that is normally you want people to just ad hoc jump to and interact with via chat, or whether something should more be automated whenever a certain event occurs. You have basically the two different solutions.
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool.
And
How
and this
should
this
we take? We do have a few questions that I've added on the list on the build. Is there anything else you want to show
I
us?
just wanted to show you here the answer.
Oh,
So as you can
nice.
see, so if we should have finished the flow, I can also show you here. Now, this is not a lot of time to show everything, but let me see here. 521. I think there's this one. Uh, yeah. And yeah, so you have the flow that completed, and for that you have the email here. But yeah, ask away questions.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I guess so first of all, thanks a lot for the demo and also all the preparation in the flows. I guess it was quite popular because one of the main questions we had is how much does it cost? What's the pricing for Noxus? You mentioned this is an enterprise solution. So what are people looking at here?
Yeah, so we have many different tiers of licensing. So the idea here is that you buy this as a product, you have a licensing cost per month, and but it is considered as part of that is consumed by the platform. So you pay a price. You have what we call AI operations,
Yep.
and every node that you run or every message that you exchange with a coworker or every file that you upload to a knowledge base, it counts as one AI operation. The base licensing cost is 2K, if I'm not mistaken, 2,000 euros. Um, and it has access to 50,000 AI operations. And what we found is that I don't think we have had one single customer that has had the need to increase that cost. So usually that package cover all your AI operation needs in terms of the licensing cost. You do not pay from by user, so it's just the licensing cost. And then this is the self-hosted, so it is deployed on your infrastructure, and then you have free access to all the tools. And any moment that we update the platform, you will have access to the most recent version. So you do not pay for new versions. You do not pay for users. Is the one payment for the license every month.
Very cool. Very cool. Next question is a bit of a longer one, but I'll try and break this down into parts. So once we've got our Noxus case management agent production ready, how do we actually go and deploy it inside a small to medium business without leaking data externally? So what is the couple of parts to this is, can you say a few words on the recommended setup in terms of architecture? And
Mhm.
also what about the rollout plan? Like how do you actually go and install this step by step in terms of doing a like testing phase, then adding guardrails and monitoring before
Okay.
actually letting it go?
So for guardrails, in terms of any AI model, all of them have as always guardrails. So you can define the guardrails at the level of each model that you're using. So with AI, you always have the ability to define what or what not you can answer. In terms of deployment, we have different ways to do it. Okay, what we like to have is flexibility in how we are able to deploy things. One that we have, let's say, out of the box, is that you can actually just deploy an app here as easy as this. So you can go here to the tab of deploy, you select the version that you want to deploy, and let's say show workflow progress. You deploy it, and it is ready to go here within Noxus.
Gotcha. So this would be not the self-hosted version, but rather the cloud version.
Even so, in the self-hosted version, you have access to this interface as well.
Gotcha.
So you could actually have this and have people access. We have roles within Noxus, so you could also define the different roles that the people have within the organization. So we have different roles. So let's say that an app user within a workspace could only access to the app. You could not touch the different flows or different coworkers, but you could access the output of the app. The other one that we have is that on flows, coworkers, we also have connection through API. So you can also, since it is deployed in your network, it is within your infrastructure, you can also connect easily to this through an API, just generate a token here, a secure token, use it on your applications, and you can just grab it from there and connect it easily.
Nice. Just on that one, I think that ties into another question we had, whether there's more pre-configured trigger options in terms of like when there's a new Jira entry, new spreadsheet line item, is there more that show up when there's a paid version, or at the moment like integrations is something that you've got your first initial set, but you plan to add more later. And I guess then APIs is always a good option if you um, if there's not an integration here yet that you support.
Yeah, so we have a lot of integrations out of the box. We keep adding them. So as
Yeah,
our clients need some integrations, and usually when we approach clients, we do what we call a end-to-end use case with them. So we help
nice.
them not only understand what are their needs in terms of AI processes, but how can they take the most advantage of the platform, and also if they have some specific integrations, we help them add them. One big part, one essential part that I need to talk about in terms to answer to that as well. So we not only offer this front end that you're seeing here, not only this interface, we offer the entire infrastructure behind it, the engine. So for the more technical people, you also have access to all of this throughout our SDK. So let's say for the knowledge, the domain people that have the knowledge of each domain, they can use the interface. But
Yeah,
for the more technical people within enterprises, you can actually access the engine through an SDK, do create all the conversations, and also expand on the platform. So we have a plugin. We have a plugin system here that you can also create new integrations, create new nodes, create new features for the platform.
got it. So maybe if I understand it, like the typical way in terms of when you're doing these actual rollouts as companies, let's say you're approached by a customer care team at a company, in terms of that like that initial install project, they also would need some support from their internal tech team. So sort of tech handles the infrastructure, but then the customer care team have the power to use this no
Mhm.
code UI builder, where, as you said, they've got the domain expertise of what should be an accounting ticket, what should be a billing ticket, and they are free to basically build this. But it's often, I guess, better in your like projects to have some buy-in from the tech team as well.
Yeah, the thing is, it's more the ability to do it. So the platform right away will offer a lot of tools that the domain specific people can use without the help of a technical team. But the true potential, let's say, that you can explore in the platform is then when you can have both of them working together. So having the domain specific people driving what they need to have on the platform, and then the technical people being able to support them and expanding on the ability that the platform has.
Yeah, very cool. And I think it's such a good way for business people to be getting used to some of these AI concepts, for instance, playing around with human in the loop, prompt engineering and improving their prompts, and having like a very easy way to test and run these workflows. On the learning part of things, so a couple of really good questions from Jason. So first of all, everyone who's obviously joined today is in the free trial. How long do they get to keep their free trial for?
So our free trial is in terms of credits, so it depends on the amount of operations that you do. Once that is expanded, then it's what we offer at the moment. Okay, but we offer I think around 100 credits, something like that, to
Okay.
use within the app.
And these
So, but
credits
yeah,
are also consumed when you do the test runs, or is it only when you put it into production, when you deploy?
whenever you run it, those
Okay.
are so whenever you run an AI node, you're using some credits.
Yeah, makes sense. And in terms of if people want to learn as a next step after today's session, do you have some other walkthroughs, tutorials somewhere that you could point people to in terms of how
Yeah.
they can upskill themselves on the tool?
Yeah, actually, we are finalizing a templates for the application. So we're going to have when you create a flow, we are just finishing that on our current cycle. So I think that will be some nice news for everyone. So you will actually have the ability to start from templates. So to have something that will guide you towards building something. That is one. The other one is that we are also starting our academy. So the Noxus Academy, and the idea is we're going to have a lot of videos describing from starting our first workflow to then taking a use of the platform. Um, we are finishing that, so it will be ready over this month. And once that is set, you can access our documentation, and we'll have all of it. We already have some things here. We have been updating everything and making sure that it is the most updated it can be, but we'll also have access to the academy here later.
Very cool. And in terms of like Noxus itself, where you guys are going with this, do you really see do you think it's a tool that you think is for building any AI agents? Obviously, when you look around LinkedIn, there's a lot of AI agents for sales, for marketing. Now we obviously built a case management today. Is it something that you really say as a product you're really focusing on these like, let's say, high volume operations, heavy tasks like case management, claims, finance, these sort of topics? Maybe
Yeah,
what you
I
would
would say
the less sexy AI agents that we don't see so much on LinkedIn.
exactly. So I would say that one of the things that our platform excels at is being able to scale it and to move it to production. So one thing that we have found, being it in insurance, in retail, and in other industries, is that enterprises at the big scale they all need the use case manage the case management. So
Yeah.
that is a use case that we have been starting to lean towards because a lot of our clients need it. It's something that we can do very easily with the platform, so we are shifting a bit of our focus towards that as something that we excel at with all the engine that we have behind that empowers people to do that easily and with many tools to support it.
Yeah, awesome. Really cool. And we had one of your colleagues just dropped in the chat. So during the week, if anyone is building with Noxus and running out with credits, Jason, I hope you're going to be one of these people that run out of credits. Hit up the Noxus team via the in-app chat and just mention the promo code 9X Noxus, and you guys will top up their accounts. Very cool. I hope
For the
that's
ones who
someone.
stay
I hope
until
that's
the
someone
end.
from the Noxus
Yeah,
team. Otherwise, it could just it could just be someone. It could just be someone from the chat now giving everyone free access. But
I
awesome.
can confirm it.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, Jose, thank you so much for this session. I think we covered everything. I think we've got a lot of excited people now in the chat looking to take this further and test it out. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I'll be here to help you. Anything you
Awesome.
need.
All right. Bye,
Stay
everyone.
young.
Have a good